is the Jeff Santos Show.
Oh, some 33 minutes past the hour. It is the Jeff Santos Show that you are tuned into. We're going to be talking to Mark Taylor-Canfield momentarily, but I just want to remind folks again on Tuesday, the Jeff Santos Show has the privilege of having the former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Boy, we wish she could be Speaker today, considering everything that Johnson just basically rubber stamps for the Führer in Chief. We're going to be talking to the Speaker Emeritus and the Congresswoman from San Francisco on at 4:00 on Tuesday, the 24th, and also we'll be going ahead and talking, replaying the show for our friends in San Francisco at KSFO. That will be taking place at about 7:10 Pacific time, or just about that. Be a live intro by yours truly, and then we'll have some commentary on the interview coming up at 10:30. These are for our San Francisco listeners. Of course, you can listen online as well at ksfo.com. And we're making some adjustments to that. We're connecting it to the regular Monday through Friday show in the coming weeks as well. Get our great production team, Freddie and company, involved in that operation as we bring on KABC in early March. We move forward here on the Jeff Santos Show. I want to take one thing that Alan Minsky says and try to amplify this, and that is that the American people are getting sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they will come out to the polls. And as Harold Meyerson said, if the polls count, the Democrats will win back the House and the Senate. Again, for those of you who don't really worry about these things, you're more concerned about the Americans winning the Olympic gold medal, being first place, and then, of course, win the hockey against Canada, or other things. You get your own families to worry about. Make sure that Johnny and Susie are getting the right education, and they're not doing anything that stunts their growth, both physically and emotionally. But one of the things that you have to look at here is where the Democrats can hold, meaning the Senate races that are going to be very competitive in very competitive, quote unquote, swing states, and so forth. So they have to hold in Georgia with Mr. Ossoff. They have to hold in Michigan, with a couple of people there. That's an open seat. Peters left that. They have to hold in a couple of other places, New Hampshire. That's the Jeannie Shaheen seat. But otherwise, they should be able to go on offense on the following. In North Carolina, where we talk to our good friend from Charlotte, Mayor Roberts, all the time, the Democrats can win there. When you look at the situation in Georgia, again, Ossoff, should be able to hold on. Go to Maine, and that's right now Plattner, who's in the lead against Mills, the current governor. Latest polls show that Plattner is beating Collins by several points. Not so the case with Mills, again, the incumbent Democratic governor. Then, of course, Sherrod Brown in Ohio, former senator for many years. He is running against the Vance replacement. That's another point. Then, of course, you get Iowa and Alaska. Those are the two places. If the Democrats get to three, meaning North Carolina and hold serve in Michigan and Georgia, then they'll be able, I believe, to tie it, and then you win it with a victory in Iowa, a victory in Alaska. And then you could also add Murkowski in Alaska, too, switching over to being independent. So there are a lot of different ways for the Democrats to be in majority in the Senate. And if they run the table, they could even build a couple of majority. Texas is also there. So that's where you are. Okay, let's just check in with our good friend Andrew. Do we have MTC ready to go, Andrew? All right, fantastic. Well, the Renaissance man of the Jeff Santos show. Of course, he is there with the red guitar to his left and another red guitar to his right. He is the Renaissance man of the Jeff Santos show. He is the activist, and he got a black one too. And on top of that, Democracy Watch News executive director. He's smiling behind those sunglasses. He's MTC, and he's got a new song. Mr. Mark Taylor-Canfield, center stage. Jimmy, eat your heart out.
Hey, Jeff.
How you doing, man?
I only have one thing to say to the Patriots fans. I'm holding up a newspaper, it's the Seattle Times, and it says redemption. Because the last time the Patriots and the Seahawks were in the Super Bowl, it ended badly for us. But this time it went really well. And by the way, if you look through this newspaper, you'll also find me and Punky. We ended up in the Seattle Times.
Wow.
My rock and roll marionette. If you're on the live stream, you can see her here. She's quite fetching. If I can get her in front of the camera.
There she is.
She's quite fetching. She has her own guitar.
She's got those glasses going down, and she's a rock star, just like you, MTC.
Yeah, she's more popular than I am, so I have to make sure she's going to win a Grammy Award soon, I'm sure. But she says, "Hi, Jeff. How you doing?"
Hey, Punky, how you doing? If she wins a Grammy Award, then I think I'm going to go into the music business, if that's the case. And no offense, Punky.
Well, you remember Charlie McCarthy,
I don't want to
right?
get her feelings hurt. Don't want to get her feelings hurt. But you know,
well, there was Charlie McCarthy.
Maybe you can win it.
But, so yeah, well, that's my goal. But I just wanted to say, congratulations to the Patriots for getting to the Super Bowl. You guys did have a great team, and you have a rising star quarterback who could be a Hall of Famer. Who knows? He's already been in the Super Bowl in his second year in the league, so he's got some experience. He had a little tough time with the dark side. But who didn't this year?
The dark side became very dark, up close and personal.
Yeah. He looked a little bit worried at times. Like he kind of hoped that there was like a backup somewhere that might be able to step in for him. But I don't blame him, because when the Seahawks take you down, especially if you're a receiver, they tend to make you remember that. They're a very, very physical team. By the way, we were also on Fox Sports Live. They were doing a live feed from Victory Hall, which is the big, huge warehouse kind of brewery bar next to the ball field there where everybody was hanging out. So Punky and I ended up live on Fox Sports too. In between quarters, they would do a live feed from there. But it was great. And then of course we had the parade afterwards, which was incredible. About 1 million people showed up because the Seahawks are not just Seattle's team, just like the Patriots are a New England team. Well, Seattle is at least a Washington State team, and probably more like a Pacific Northwest team, since there is no other.
Yeah, I mean, people in Oregon don't have a football team there. Idaho as well. So I mean, yeah, you get a lot of the Pacific Northwest all to your own.
Great college football. That's where Bo Nix came from. Great college football in Oregon. That's our major rival, the University of Washington. Our major rival is always Oregon and Michigan, because it's usually those two teams that end up beating us when we're trying to get in the national rankings, or to a bowl game. So, but also the celebration was amazing. I wanted to tell you a couple things here. One thing that really blew my mind, I mean, there were so many people gathered in downtown. 1 million people is the estimate. So you couldn't get anywhere near the parade route from Pioneer Square to Cedar Street, which is in Belltown, which is halfway through the city. So what I did, I went to the very beginning of the parade, which was very smart. And I had a friend with me, and she was quite attractive. So I think that helped us get through the line.
So you got the carte blanche sort of approach there. Yeah. Just hang around with the pretty girls. Hey, let me ask you, I don't know how many guitars you have now, but it seems every week there's a new one. I don't remember seeing that gold one behind you.
I blame the trading musician and now known as Reanimated Music, because they sell some really great vintage stuff. They also sell some very, very special things like that custom guitar I showed you last week. So, yeah, I mean, I blame them. They're the ones who make sure that I get all these guitars. So if people ask me that question that you just asked me many times per week, and to tell you the truth, I have lost count, and it's probably painful that I've lost. But here we are.
Oh, there she is. Is this the new woman in your life?
That's a long story, but this is
we won't go there. We don't want to cause any problems in the FTC world.
Why can't I get the camera? Okay, there's me, 12-man shirt with the unnamed lady, and later when I got to the end, I thought, look, if we're going to be smart, we need to get to the end of the parade, because that's where the players are going to be getting off the buses, right, and headed out to wherever they're going. So so all along the way, the guys were partying. They actually handed off the trophy to the crowd twice during the parade, which blew my mind. It came, that people are chill here. They just, want to enjoy the victory. But this one guy walks up to me and the woman, and he says, "I want to get my photo with you." And guess who it was? It was Uchenna Nwosu, the guy who caught the deflected pass and scored the touchdown for the dark side, number 7. And he didn't want to be on the bus. He wanted to be down in the crowd. So he came down and met us. And we got our jerseys signed by the players. It was incredible. And the players didn't want to leave. They just wanted to hang out all day. And the crowd didn't want to leave either. But
stars, man.
The police finally
stars. Hollywood North.
It was so much fun. Barner is great too.
He's smiling. You get the new woman in his world. He's got new guitars. I tell you, man, you just live in La Vida Loca to our old friend.
And I
Ricky
got to
Martin.
hang out.
No, you deserve it.
I got to hang out with Uchenna Nwosu. I got to hang out with Barner too, because our great tight end who caught that touchdown. Because the very next day, he was kind of the star of the crowd. He had his big hat on and big fluffy coat, looking like a rock star. And then when the very next, he volunteered to do a swing shift at a local restaurant. I'm not kidding you. So we heard about it, and it turned out that the restaurant was about 2 blocks from where I live. So I ran over there, and there he was, Barner. So I wanted to talk to him about my music and stuff. He was actually just kind of, I would call him a meter and greeter. He was just kind of standing there talking to people. But he was behind the counter. He actually was behind the counter as if he could take your order. But most of us just wanted our photo with him and
take
stuff.
You out too with a left hook.
He's so Seattle though. He's the one who's in the ceremony.
That's what community is all about. We're going into Wisconsin, 8 stations starting on Monday, my friend. And
cool.
And we're very excited. Madison, Milwaukee, Wausau, and a whole bunch of other places, Appleton. And they understand community, as does the people in Minnesota.
That's cool.
And it's fantastic that people in Seattle, I think, have elements of that. Coming out the pouring out. I mean, I'm not saying that people in Boston don't pour out. The Red Sox won for the first time in 2004. I was there, a million people there too.
Yeah.
But the point is that I think that's
huge sports star.
Yeah.
Huge sports star in Boston. No other.
Oh, yeah. Massive. We're going to see what happens. A couple of the Bruin players, McAvoy being one of the American team, and of course, Marchand on the Canadian team, former Bruin. But hey, let me just ask you this, because I think this is, what happened in Minnesota. And, this is our Friday Fun Day show, but, we get into politics. We had Minsky talk about soccer and talk about his great goaltender in Binnington, who doesn't play well in the regular season, but in the playoffs for Canada, he's been fantastic, or in the Four Nations tournament, now this one. But the Olympics. But I tell you, the sense of community, I think, is something that is really important. It showed in Minnesota. And that's what changed things. It got one of the Gestapo agents out and brought in Holman, who's not that much of an improvement, but I guess somewhat. And they pulled more people out. So that to me is important, and that's what the Democrats should really hug. They should really welcome and try to understand we're a community. We have your back, and I think those sort of words would resonate with people, whether they're sports fans or whether they're people who come together because somebody's stuck in a ditch, in the snow of the winter in the Northeast and the Midwest, or whether we're talking about, dealing with earthquake victims in California, or people with monsoons across the Pacific Northwest, whatever the case may be. That to me is an important part of being an American and being a good American, being a good neighbor.
Yeah, well, we're the 12th man here, and woman and child and dog and
Right.
whatever pet you have. I mean, Seattle's also a big city for dogs, so they might as well be invited. In fact, the Mariners had a night where you got to bring your dog to the game, and it wasn't
Right. I
chaos.
saw
Actually,
that.
it was amazing. Like, people brought their well-behaved dogs. The bad dogs stayed home apparently. But yeah, I mean, Seattle is a very community-oriented place. We're having a big community event tomorrow down on the waterfront, believe it or not, as a kickoff for Seafair, which actually the hydroplane races and all that doesn't happen till the summer. You can bet I'll be there hanging out in the pits, talking to the drivers and covering that, because that's so much fun. But the festivals in Seattle are amazing, and we're down on the waterfront tomorrow. We have a new park and a new version of of Pike Place Market, Jeff. You probably wouldn't even recognize it. It's been completely redeveloped, but in a really nice way. The old parts have been left alone. There's still that creepy magic shop in the basement, and the museum of the biggest shoes in the world or whatever, and really strange places. But there's a new part of it which connects the waterfront. And if you remember, the Alaskan Way Viaduct kind of always chopped the city in half there, and kept people from getting down near the waterfront. And it wasn't a great view either, looking at the window to see that. Now that's all clear. There are new parks and piers down on the waterfront. A bunch of my friends' bands are going to be playing down there, and at Elliott Hall on Pier 66. So Seattle is definitely a community-oriented town. And I think anybody who comes here should realize that we're a neighborhood town too. Each neighborhood has its own special identity. But I was, to get to your point about politics, I was watching this amazing series called Titans, the Rise of Wall Street or whatever. And it really does a great job, a documentary miniseries about JP Morgan and how he, both bankrupt and bailed out the country multiple times. And these Titans who in Wall Street who have kind of controlled things and funded the wars and all this stuff, up until this day, where we still have this kind of oligarchy and, power structure in Washington, D.C., which caters to these kinds of people. Because all Pam Bondi cares about is that, the stock market is up. She doesn't care about what's happening to in your town. But FDR had this way of really reaching out to people, Jeff, from Washington, D.C. And he was a very rare character who can do this, especially since he came from the upper class. So these were his friends that he was, going after. And he said, I welcome. Yeah. But he also said that, he at least was able to communicate a message that from Washington, D.C., people, even in the middle of Omaha, Nebraska, in the Dust Belt, felt like he cared about them, and that he cared about working people and poor people. And if we can get a candidate like that, who can actually talk to people as if, he knows them because they're part of his national community, then you've got a different thing going on. I don't think Trump does that. And I think a lot of the Democrats really have been struggling to do that.
Talking to Mark Taylor-Canfield here on the Jeff Santos Show. The phone number to join is 833-545-5333. You can go to thejeffsantoshow.com, leave a message, talk about what Mark is saying here, and always do so on our great website. Now, led by Rocky and the rest of the team there. I want to ask you, because to me, the big question, I think now, is, how Democrats message over the next year, and frankly, make it clear that they have the back of the American people, and the other side is only for the 1%, only for people who give money to Donald Trump. What he did today with the Supreme Court, two people who he chose, Gorsuch and Comey, and he trashed him. And he said he's an embarrassment to court, an embarrassment to the families. Who does that? Name me a CEO or name me a political candidate in the history of America that would actually trash people that, he serves with, in the case of the Supreme Court. It's so disrespectful. We talked to Doug McLean. We just replayed it yesterday. And he says the people in Canada, when he comes back, he has a summer home in winter home, I should say, in South Florida. And he says people are like, we hate the American government, not Americans, but the American government. And that word, the hatred, is there. And one man is responsible for that in his administration. I mean, this is completely insanity. And I just think that, we didn't make the very, very big contrast here on whose side you're on. And we welcome Republicans who have seen the light, to do it. And again, nonviolent, peaceful way. Your thoughts on this from your perspective, as a musician, and, you got in a band, as you well know, you got to work together. When we're putting together this show, we get producers and technicians and engineers and social media people. They all have to work together. Otherwise, the whole thing falls apart. And that's what's going to happen to us unless we can rescue this country from where we are now.
Yeah, I think the founding fathers would be very upset. They were not happy about the idea of partisanship, and if they saw the way that political parties have divided this country, we don't even try to work together anymore. We just call each other enemies, and it's a sad thing. It's a sad day for America. We had the skater, I believe it was a skater in the Olympics, who spoke out, and then Trump trashed him. So Trump is going to trash anybody. He doesn't care. He's an equal opportunity trasher. He'll trash his best friends. He doesn't care.
Right.
He has no loyalty to anyone. He also has the least amount of diplomacy and finesse of anybody, even in I think the World Federation or World Federation wrestlers or whatever, the professional wrestlers have a lot more
WWC.
Yeah. I mean, he's worse than a gangster the way that he talks. So at least the gangsters like Al Capone tried to act civilized in public. They might have been whacking people off in the side, but they didn't say things out loud in public. So
my.
But I think it's really important that the Democrats reach out to these cultural and pop icons, because we saw what happened during the Super Bowl. I haven't read the statement that the NFL put out about Bad Bunny's performance, but he did make a political statement, and so did a lot of other people around the Super Bowl. So I think,
and he is American, Jeff, and Puerto Rico is part of America. And just to let people know, he's not some foreigner like some of the right-wing idiots are trying to tell you. Look,
he was critical of his own government in Puerto Rico too. But I mean, Bad Bunny represents a large segment of the population. And, and also I was just watching the hockey game. I hope the United States won over Slovakia, but I just have to tell you this, Jeff, even if the United States wins, which they probably will, it was 5-0 after the second period. But Slovakia came back with 2 more goals. So who knows? It's happening live. But the thing is that Slovakia has already beat us in one area, and I'll tell you how. They have universal health care in Slovakia. They have free education and one of the longest parental leaves in Europe. So give me a break. We might have a great hockey team, but we're kind of behind the times in a lot of other ways. And hopefully the Europeans.
We're all familiar with the great Slovakian in Zdeno Chara, the Bruins former team captain.
They're also
6
they're
foot
also
10.
ahead of us on the World Press. They're also ahead of us on the World Press Freedom Index that is put out by Reporters Without Borders. So they have more respect.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Hey, we just
Michaela
got 2 minutes.
And Melissa Liu and all the great athletes, I want to say they have been really, really rock stars.
Yeah, Melissa Liu is fantastic. What a performance!
Really great watching them.
And the women's hockey team yesterday doing,
they have personality. These American players. That's the one thing you can say. They actually have personality and they speak out. And they're very, very interesting characters, kind of eccentric and kind of fun. So shout out to the Olympics. It's been fun. Listen.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
also I have a new song on YouTube. It's called Freaky Little Town, and it's my NPR Tiny Desk Contest entry. So y'all can go to YouTube and my YouTube channel, Mark Taylor-Canfield, and see my new song up there. And you'll see me in the same studio I'm at right now with Punky in the background. So
with Punky in the game.
Good to talk to you again, Jeff. I'm glad to see you back on the air.
Couple of things, my friend. The Bruce Springsteen #1 Minneapolis song. Now Bono and the boys, of course, they got a great relationship. Does U2 and Springsteen, and he's got a song out now too. I only heard it once, but it's fantastic. Again, around Minneapolis. This is what we were talking about. Oh my God, 6 months ago or so. Before Minneapolis, and that horror show. That this is what we need from the great artists who are musicians like yourself. And they have come through, both of them, and I'm hoping more and more. And again, what we talked about this too. I don't know if it's enough time in the, in the calendar to do an event this summer, but I'm all for it, man. Because as we do know, King's Rally at the end of March. Put together a rally and invite any veteran company, and invite Foo Fighters. if Bruce and Bono want to come along too, that's great. But I think, Kendrick Lamar, the whole thing, bring it. And I think that's what we need to do, man. To show them, look, America is not Donald Trump, and Donald Trump is just one piece of America. We can do a lot better. I think a lot of people in the world would agree with us about that, Mr. MTC.
Well, he's a piece, but we won't go there. Okay. Jeff, it's great to see you back on the air. And I'm glad you're doing better. And I miss your show when you're not on the air. So I'm a fan as well. So keep up the good work. I love your guests. They're all so fun and interesting. And you never, it's just the kind of stuff you don't hear on CNN or ABC, folks, although you should, because they give you no background. They're just stenographers or whatever. They just tell you what happened, and they don't give you any context or any background.
Yeah.
At least
hey man,
show,
thank you. Appreciate you. I got 15 seconds. Thank you. Mark Taylor-Canfield. Check him out on YouTube, the new song. Hey, I want to thank Andrew and Jalen and the rest of the team for their great job today producing this broadcast. Have a great weekend, folks. Remember, keep on fighting peacefully. My name is Jeff Santos, and I gotta go.